In at number 10, Quentin Tarantino.
So it's my job to try and ask you to.
And I'm shutting your butt down.
And that's entirely your. What
a line! I'm shutting your butt down. Quentin Tarantino was having none of this interviewer's questions, but still tried to go along with it. He kept his cool for about 3 minutes before the gloves started to come off. The journalist's name is Krishnan Gurumurthy, and he has become notorious for asking celebrities the most awkward and really big questions about themselves, their past, and their work. Stuff that would be better suited for a 3-hour podcast or an episode of 60 Minutes. However, during these press junkets where they're only doing the interview to sell their film, it's hardly the place or time. In at number 9, Cara Delevingne. Let's just say her dry British humor was not really received by these happy-go-lucky morning news anchors at CBS Sacramento. At the start of the interview, she was asked some very dumb questions. For example, the film Paper Towns was based on a book, so they asked her if she had read the book, and then immediately after made a snide comment about her probably not having enough time to read. Cara obviously takes offense to this judging by her body language, but instead decides to flip it into a joke, saying that she didn't even read the script, just winged the whole thing. The interviewers actually take this as factual for a moment before her laughing finally cuts the tension. And that's not even the most awkward part of this interview though.
I think it probably is us. Well then on that note,
We figured as much.
We'll let you go then. How about that? We'll let you go take a little nap, maybe get a Red Bull. How about that?
After one interviewer asked her why she isn't as excited as her other interviews, she remarks that it's very early and that she thought it was going well, so again, jokingly she says it must be you. And the interviewer in the middle, like, oh my god, she sounded so bitter. That line of, well, we'll let you go take a little nap and have a Red Bull, how about that? Yes, how about that level of professional journalism? Good job, Good Morning Sacramento. In at number 8, Kourtney Kardashian. After her sister Kim was robbed in Paris, Today Extra, an Australian news outlet, was interviewing Kourtney via satellite from Los Angeles.
Okay.
They asked her how Kim was doing following this traumatic event, but suddenly Kourtney's face just freezes. You then can sort of hear what sounds like her publicist saying, "Do not answer that question."
Looks like Kourtney doesn't really want to go there with that question.
I think she's blanking me. I think she's totally blanking me on that question.
I think there's probably a PR person there saying, you know, don't talk about it.
The interviewer then goes on a bit of a rant saying that she could simply say her sister is doing fine, as they too speculate that she was told to be quiet. However, she then does answer the question on her own, saying, "She's not doing great, I think we're all still shaken up." And her response to what appeared to be her blanking was that the audio from their end wasn't coming through.
Sliding to number 7 spot is Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. They were once an adorable couple, so a makeout session isn't out of the ordinary, but one in particular made people uncomfortable. Now, I'm just guessing, but I feel pretty confident in that statement. Back in 2014, Andrew was asked to host SNL, and when he began his monologue, his Spider-Man co-star and real-life lover, Emma Stone, stepped in to help him out. At one point during their time on stage, Andrew ended up in his Spider-Man suit, and Emma stepped into her role from the movie as well, and they recreated their iconic kissing scene from the movie. It appears like they had some difficulty nailing the makeout, because this one was incredibly hard to watch. It was nothing like the movie. I get that it was part of their comedy sketch, but ew. Like, please stop, it was very weird.
In at number 6, Samuel L. Jackson. When you are interviewing a celebrity as big as Samuel L. Jackson, it's imperative that you do your homework. You know, like learn his name. When Sam Jackson was promoting the RoboCop remake, he was asked about a recent Super Bowl commercial he did. Sam replies, "What Super Bowl commercial?" and then hits KTLA reporter Sam Rubin with this.
What Super Bowl commercial?
Oh, you know what? I've been my mistake.
See, you're as crazy as the people on Twitter.
Jackson then proceeds to say, "I'm not Lawrence Fishburne. We don't all look alike. We may be all black and famous, but we all don't look alike." And Rubin repeatedly apologizes for this very public faux pas, but the damage is done and this just got super awkward. Jackson doesn't let up though. He questions Sam Rubin, saying, "You're the entertainment reporter?" To make his point known, Samuel L. Jackson posted this image on Twitter of him wearing a t-shirt that says he's not Lawrence Fishburne. You know, just to avoid any further confusion.
Halfway through the list at number 5 is Shane Warne chewing on Elizabeth Hurley. The two of them were together from 2011 to 2013, and Shane described it as the happiest years of my life. He wrote a new biography called No Spin, which included the details about the relationship and what caused it to come to an end. Their secret engagement was an impulse decision, and he proposed to her on a boat just 18 months after they started dating. They ended up buying a home together and all seemed well, but they broke up before ever making it to the altar. Which is a shame, because they were a really cute couple. But like the others on this list, they had their very uncomfortable PDA moments. A whole gallery of pictures flooded the media after they attended the Ascot races back in 2013. Keep in mind, this is a more formal event and there are tons of people around them, like in very close vicinity, as he's sitting there chewing on her lip and grabbing her butt. Like, you guys do you, but there is a time and place for everything, and this is not it. Get a room.
In at number 4, Dakota Johnson. This without a doubt has to be the cringe heard around the world. We got to watch the live falling out between Dakota Johnson and her mother Melanie Griffith on the red carpet of the Oscars. Oh, the Oscars. Please insert fake laughter here. Man, Hollywood is so fake. Just because the cameras are rolling, they fake laugh their way through this entirely awkward interview. And the whole thing started off on a really bad note. The interviewer praises Melanie while repeatedly calling Dakota her little girl, which she is, but it just downplays how successful she's been on her own. Then when her mother is asked if she's seen 50 Shades of Grey, her mom outright says that she wouldn't watch the movie, which clearly hurts her daughter regardless of the content and the positive reviews. A kid is always looking for that recognition from their parents.
We've made it to number 3, you guys, and we have Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag. The MTV couple first became known from the TV series The Hills, and during their time on the show, many people were uncomfortable with the relationship even when they weren't having PDA moments. But nothing is more uncomfortable than using your PDA as a moment to promote a new project. Let me explain. Look at this picture. So they were having this like hot makeout session at lunch and they realized that the paparazzi was capturing it, so they decided to write out her upcoming album title on a piece of paper and hold it up to the camera while continuing to make out. Maybe a smart marketing plan, but it's just awkward. Like, how desperate are you?
In at number 2, Tom Hardy. If you thought that was hard to watch, just wait until you see this awkward interview with Tom Hardy. At the Toronto Film Festival during a press conference for his film Legend, he's asked by an LGBT news organization about his sexuality, claiming that while his character is upfront about it, Tom on the other hand has been much more ambiguous about his sexuality, which leads to this kind of terrible exchange. It's the epitome of awkwardness.
Are you asking me about my sexuality?
Sure.
Why?
Why?
Thank you.
Okay.
Why indeed. That thank you he gives at the end too, oof, I felt that. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld is one of the most successful comedians of all time. His show Seinfeld was on television for 9 years, and Jerry's decision to go out on top proved to be one of the most lucrative deals ever for this comedian. Since the final episode, the show has generated over $3 billion in repeat fees, but for whatever reason, Larry King thought they cancelled the show. Even though Larry King worked for CNN, he wasn't known for his hard-hitting questions, yet for whatever reason, he decided to use an interview promoting Jerry Seinfeld's B movie to ask him if Seinfeld had been cancelled.
Is this still CNN? I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am?
And you can see in Seinfeld's body language how frustrated he gets when Larry even tries to insinuate this. Jerry does not back down though and immediately goes on the attack, telling King that he was the #1 show on television before adding the very crass line of, "Do you know who I am? What's the deal with you not knowing who I am?"
Starting off the list, number 10 is Madonna and Drake. The fact that the two of them are on this list together for PDA is still hard for me to digest, because how did this happen? Alright, so back in 2015, the two of them performed together at Coachella, and during the performance, she leaned down to Drake, who was sitting on a chair, and had this full-blown makeout session with him, which was wildly uncomfortable for some people who pointed out online that he was 28 and she was 56. But putting the age aside, it was more awkward because of Drake's reaction. Footage and pictures captured Drake looking hella disgusted the moment the two of them stopped kissing. She snapped back to the images during an interview and said, "I kissed a girl and I liked it." Don't kiss Drake no matter how many times he begs you to. But Drake wanted to set the record straight and posted a picture of their kiss on his Instagram with the caption, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with the Queen Madonna and feel 100 about that forever. Thank you, Madonna." Either way, people were still uncomfortable and tweeted that they were disgusted insulted by it and called it humiliating. I don't know if I'd go as far as that, but I did feel a little uncomfortable watching the video. It's a little awkward. Coming up next, number 9 is Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. I'm going to start off by saying they are adorable, and I love them together, but that does not mean I want to watch them have some weird makeout session on my Instagram feed. The two of them are always really flirty with each other during their performances, which fans seem to adore, but some fans started calling them out for their PDA, saying they kiss like fish. Whatever that means. So the couple clapped back the best way they knew how and made a video of them making out in a weird and really sloppy way, basically to show that they kiss like fish.
Really hurt our feelings.
We just want to show you how we really kiss.
Yeah.
It was all a big joke, and I'm sure a lot of people laughed at it, but it was almost like an awkward laugh. Like, I wanted to look away, but I didn't because I like them, but it was kind of gross at the same time. I don't know. Love them, but please don't make another video like this one. Sliding to number 8 is Cardi B and Offset. If you're a fan of Cardi's, then it probably doesn't surprise you that she's on this list. The two of them shocked the world when they announced their engagement back in October 2018 after dating for less than a year. But people forgot all about that after they welcomed their baby daughter Culture into the world. Since then, they have taken the world by storm and did not leave any PDA behind. Let's just say they are not shy about showing their love for each other, whether that be behind the scenes or in front of the camera. I mean, at one of the biggest award shows of the year, the 2019 Grammy Awards, they were touching tongues on the red carpet. And I'm not saying like touching tongues like it's some kind of code word for making out. They literally stood there with their tongues out and just touched them together.
In at number 7, Jesse Eisenberg.
Do you know the comedian Carrot Top?
Yes. Horrible.
You were like the Carrot Top of interviewers. No, and it's a good thing. It's
I'm
a
gonna
good
go
thing.
cry now.
No, don't cry now.
While promoting the film Now You See Me, Jesse Eisenberg just could not contain his utter disdain for this interview. Right out of the gate, he was on the offensive. The interviewer refers to Morgan Freeman as simply Freeman, for which Jesse takes offense to. Oddly enough, he then, as you saw, remarks she's the Carrot Top of interviewing, which insults the interviewer so bad that she hurries Jesse to complete a magic trick just so that they can wrap it up. And the entire interview is just one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever seen, and this is only number 7 on the list. Trust me though, if you haven't watched this full interview, you must. You must do it. It is just a terrible exchange back and forth between an actor and a vlogger, essentially.
At number 6 is Janice Dickinson and a Random Man. After doing some research, I've come to realize that Janice has had some awkward PDA moments with basically anyone that she's been with. I guess she's just one of those really affectionate people when it comes to showing her love. Who knows? But there was one paparazzi picture that landed in a magazine showing her literally shoving her tongue down a man's throat, and the man could not be identified. Hence why I referred to him as Random Man. I'm sure he wasn't just a random man on the street that she just walked to and made out with, but he was random enough at the time that the media couldn't identify who he was or if they were a couple. Regardless, that is one sloppy kiss. After the first article was published, more started to surface and they identified him as her new boyfriend named Alex. No last name, just Alex. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Paris Hilton and Doug Reinhardt. The two of them dated for over a year, and after some time going on and off, they finally called it quits in 2010. But during their time together, they ended up in the press on multiple occasions for their extreme PDA. Let's just say there was a lot of aggression and a lot of tongue. I feel like there's a lot of people on this list who just like to touch their tongues together like that, like not actually kiss with their lips. It's just this weird tongue thing. But there was also this awkward makeout that the paparazzi caught. They are both going in with wide open mouths, so I'm not sure how that kiss worked out in the end. But what's more awkward is the way that they are both holding onto each other's shoulders. Like, why? How are you possibly kissing like that? Here we are number 4 with Jamie Foxx and Halle Berry. The two of them had a sexy makeout session on stage at the 2009 Spike TV Guys' Choice Awards and made headlines immediately. This one was uncomfortable and awkward for a few different reasons. 1, because they were not together. 2, because the kiss was incredibly inappropriate. And 3, because she had a long-term boyfriend at the time. When Jamie announced that Halle was the winner, she went up on stage, grabbed his face, and the two of them had this wild makeout session for like 30 seconds with their hands doing some wandering. If you know what I mean. She actually reached down to grab his crotch before walking away to accept the award. Classy. Turns out she did it all as a joke to mimic what Adrian Brody did to her at the 2003 Oscar Awards. Apparently, her boyfriend was okay with it, and Jamie was thrilled, saying that his life will never be the same after that.
In at number 3, Robert Downey Jr. this guy again. You remember that interviewer from earlier that was just a little too pushing? Well, he's back again, but this time with RDJ. And didn't I tell you folks earlier that he was known for just having the worst interviewers? I mean, this guy should be questioning politicians, not actors about their upcoming movies. He goes way too deep with Robert Downey Jr. in this interview, to the point where Robert Downey Jr. just says, you know what, we're done here.
What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
Okay, that's okay.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Oof. That slapped so hard it felt like a movie. Speaking of slaps, when Downey stands up to leave, he gives Krishnan a very hard pat on the shoulder as if to say, good work, you dummy. The reason why he got so upset was because these questions virtually came out of left field. He went from asking him about superhero movies to Robert's, let's say, tumultuous past.
Taking over the number 2 spot is Meryl Streep and Sandra Bullock. Who could forget when the two ladies shared a kiss at the Critics' Choice Awards back in 2010? At the time that it happened, there wasn't much to the story that we knew about, but since then Sandra has opened up about what really went down and says that Meryl Streep asked for it. The whole thing was a joke and the two of them pretended to have some sort of beef when Sandra got up on stage, and then it led to this awkward moment where she just grabs her and kisses her. In my opinion, it was just a weird joke that I didn't really get. And even though the kiss itself was short, it was still really awkward to watch happen. Love these ladies though, so nothing against them. I just prefer to not see them kiss like that on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Finally, at number 1, we have Ellen and Howard Stern. I bet you didn't think these two would end up on a PDA list together, right? I mean, Howard is married and he's not really Ellen's type, if you know what I mean. So it was incredibly awkward and a bit hilarious to watch them embrace in a kiss during an interview on her talk show. Howard surprised her with the idea on the spot because he said it would go down in history and everyone would be distracted from some controversy that involved Ellen. People were making remarks after seeing pictures of Ellen sitting next to George W. Bush together at a Dallas Cowboys game. So Howard said that this picture would erase the memory of that one. And boy was he right. It's an adorable idea, I can't lie, but seeing them embrace that moment together was just incredibly awkward. I think it was so awkward because Howard is like talking about it the whole time and even asks Ellen if she's ever kissed a man before. But the good news is the kiss did not involve tongue. For that, I am thankful.
Here we go. Hold it.
Starting us off in the number 10 spot is Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. Their relationship was pretty serious. They were married for over 7 years and had 2 kids together. So their PDA was all over the media, and although it was totally adorable some moments, other times it was just a bit awkward. Like this time, for example. They were husband and wife walking down the red carpet and for some reason they decided to just get a little gropey. Check it out. At first, it's like, okay, I can handle it. Like, I'm a little uncomfortable, but it's not horrible. Then Mariah decides to take it up a notch. And now, I'm extremely uncomfortable. She decided to give him a nice little bite on his bottom lip, and even he looks uncomfortable. Not to mention, there's someone's arm going towards them, probably to tell them to keep it moving on the red carpet, or to get a room. And at number 9 we have Tana Mongeau and Jake Paul. Oh yes, the YouTube couple that got married but didn't actually get married. If you don't know the story about Jana, they are 2 of the world's most famous YouTubers right now, and they pretty much faked a relationship for clout to a point where they actually had a huge wedding in Vegas and filmed the entire thing. Their fans had to pay $50 online to watch it. And it was all fake in the end. What a waste of time and money. Their relationship was always over the top and filled with lots of drama and clout because realistically it was a smart business move. But with a fake relationship that had to seem real came with a lot of gross PDA. I mean, even on their wedding day they couldn't keep it classy. But that was no surprise for fans because they already knew what to expect after seeing some of their engagement photos. Like this one. Classy. Nothing says true love more than that. Cruising into number 8 we have Meghan Trainor and Charlie Puth. Who else remembers the time when the two of them had a super aggressive makeout on stage at the AMAs? The two of them released a duet called Marvin Gaye, and in the music video they teased fans by being flirty and super close to kissing. But then when they performed it on the AMA stage, the song ended and they went in for this long intense makeout session. Charlie even did some booty grabbing. Fans were shocked and also a little bit confused because no, they weren't dating, and no, they didn't start dating after that. Charlie talked about it during an interview afterwards and said it was just for fun and that Meghan is just a good friend. I don't do that with my good friends. Just saying. Moving on to number 7, we have Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson. Tommy Lee Bass is best known as Tommy Lee, the founding member of the heavy metal band Motley Crue. He married the former Baywatch star after knowing her for just 96 hours back in 1995. The two of them got married on a beach with Pamela wearing a bikini as a wedding dress, but got divorced 3 years later. Despite the fact that they didn't work out, they were always on and off as a couple throughout the years. And when they were together, everyone knew because they could not keep their hands off each other. Now when I say that, it seems cute, which it is. It's sweet, but sometimes it just went a little bit too far. Like, I think it's great that you always want to be kissing and cozying up to each other, but let's keep it PG when we're outside of the bedroom, if you know what I mean. Like the poor people who are standing right behind them in that picture, I would feel so awkward. Moving on to number 6, we have Liza Minnelli and David Guest. No disrespect to David's passing in 2016, but I can't ignore the iconic over-the-top relationship he once had with Liza when he was with us. Their wedding day was famously known and best described as insane, as was their relationship. With a title like that, it's not surprising that their PDA was over the top and wild as well. But there's one image that has gone down in history. Good God, this has to be the most awkward picture we've seen on this list so far. Honestly, you guys, there is nothing more gut-wrenching than watching someone kiss with their eyes open. Like, no, why are your eyes open? His eyes are closed. Like, what are you possibly looking at?
In at number 5, Jim Carrey. At the New York Fashion Week in 2017, Jim Carrey made a rare appearance, and while walking down the red carpet, he did his best to avoid an interview with E! News. At first he tried to kind of twirl around a few times and not really stand still, hoping that that would work, but she was persistent. Carrey then says he wanted to find the most meaningless event that he could go to, and that's how he ended up there. The interviewer, trying to keep the integrity of this event high, claims that it's a celebration of icons, for which Jim says icons don't exist. I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe you exist. But there is a wonderful fragrance in the air. And before departing from this awkward interview, he leaves her with this little nugget of truth.
Is relevant, that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing, it's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter.
Here we are at number 4 with Amber Rose and Wiz Khalifa. I have to start off by saying that they were such a cute couple, and I am genuinely sad that they did not work out. They got married in 2013 and had a son together, but sadly split just a year and a half later. The good news is they are able to co-parent and have love and respect for one another. When they were together, they were always a very touchy-feely couple. They couldn't keep their hands off each other, and sometimes it just went a little too far. I mean, because I thought they were so adorable, I might be able to look past all the tongue action that's happening, but when you're on the red carpet, I just feel like it's not necessary. Does the tongue thing really need to come out on the red carpet like that? I feel like just smile and take your picture and keep going. In our third slot is Miley Cyrus and Cody Simpson. It is no secret that Miley has no shame when it comes to being in the public eye. It's fair to say that she has crossed the line many times with PDA, inappropriate behavior, and nearly naked attire. So when we saw a video of Miley making out with Cody at a smoothie shop one morning, it wasn't all that surprising. The only thing that made it surprising was because she was fresh out of a marriage with Liam Hemsworth, so the majority of us were like, damn girl, you move on quickly. But since that footage surfaced, the two of them have confirmed their new relationship, and if they didn't, their PDA would have. The paparazzi has caught them in some steamy makeout sessions, but they don't seem to care. The two of them post some pretty steamy photos and makeout videos on their own social media accounts for the whole world to see. By the looks of it, Miley might have just met her match. She's finally found someone who is just as out there and crazy as she is. Taking over the number 2 spot is Jared Leto and Scarlett Johansson. Totally forgot these two ever dated, if I'm being completely honest, but maybe they would have lasted longer if Jared paid more attention to her. You're probably wondering what I mean by that. Let's just take a look at one of their most famous PDA moments. Alright, I know I said kissing with your eyes open is the most awkward thing ever, but this might be worse. Scarlett is clearly invested in this makeout session, and Jared had his phone behind her back and is looking at it. If I was the paparazzi snapping this photo, I would feel so awkward. Like, I would probably want to say something to them. Like, Scar, just a heads up, your man is on his phone. Like, he's clearly not into the kiss as much as she was. Alright guys, we are finally at number 1 and we have Hugh Hefner and Holly Madison. Realistically, I could say Hugh Hefner with any of the Playboy bunnies. Everyone has a different opinion on this because the huge age gap between the two of them doesn't make some people uncomfortable. To me, it always has. Now, this is just my personal opinion, and we are all allowed to have them. Like, if this picture doesn't make you want to look away, then good for you, because when I look at it, I just feel extremely uncomfortable. Holly was just 20 years old when she moved into the Playboy Mansion and began dating Hugh, who was 75 at the time. Like, come on, that is insane to me. Just the age difference alone is awkward to me, but hey, like I said, to each their own. I just don't want to see it.